accepted to talk about these questions and answers about integrative psychotherapy.
It's an honor to talk with you.
Thank you. I would like to ask you, what would you say, what is integrative psychotherapy? Because here maybe people are somehow confused. What is it? Why is this integrative and something other is not? And so
Okay. Two basic definitions. The first is the integration of the client's affect and physiology and cognition, so that their behavior is by choice in the current context and not out of fear or compulsion. So the integration is really within the person. And I'm using behavioral methods, cognitive methods, affective, physiological methods to accomplish that. Which brings us then into the second definition, which is the mixing of concepts from various schools of psychotherapy. As one colleague said, no school has the whole story. And so what I'm looking for is what concepts fit together and what concepts do not fit together. So this blue line refers to the overall relationship. So I'm always looking at, do the concepts fit within a relational perspective, whether they be behavioral or cognitive or affective in their origin.
Thank you very much. And when you mentioned the relationship and contact as well, why is it the heart of integrative psychotherapy, relationship and contact?
Well, if you look at the research that's done, particularly the softer research where you interview people about what works in psychotherapy, they often don't remember the content of what they did 3 years later, but they remember the qualities of the psychotherapist. What people complain about is almost always failure in relationship. I think we are relationship seeking from the beginning of life and throughout life. And our clients come to us with ruptured relationships and rely on us to do that repair.
So is it the task, I would say, about the integrative psychotherapist to search, inquire about the disruption of a contact or the inner contact?
Oh yeah. And that's very much a concept we borrow from Gestalt therapy, is looking for the interruption of contact. 3 ways. First is external interruption to contact, where people don't see, they don't hear what's in the external world. The next is the internal interruption to contact. They don't feel, they don't remember, they don't think about their own process. They're not in touch with their own body. That's the internal interruption to contact. And often that external interruption is just a barometer of how bad the internal interruption to contact is. And then I'm always looking at the interpersonal contact. Can the person really look me in the eye? Can they really be relaxed when we're talking? Or are they tense? Like the client we saw earlier today, who sits like this in order to be able to have a conversation.
Yeah, thank you. I was reading your book, this relation patterns and presence of therapists, and I was really very interested in, and I was impressed about introducing unconscious concepts in integrative context and how you were explaining how to work with it. Maybe it is a big issue.
Yeah, that's going to take a long time.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the short version.
Yes.
I mean, Freud believed that the unconscious was like a vault. And we had some traumatic experience, we lock it away, and we forget about it. And you can only open it with the analyst's interpretation. But now we know much more about unconscious, which is the issues that happen so early in life that cognition wasn't possible, or the things that happened in the family context that were never talked about, like father's alcoholism that gets ignored and never talked about, or the child's fear of a teacher that never gets talked about, and all the experiences that the child may have that the family never addresses, so that when they come into your office, they say, oh, but I don't remember anything before I'm 12 years old. But I'm depressed, or I'm anxious. But that depression or anxiety is the memory. And so I'm always working to help them reconstruct and build a language and a concept for the experience they had as a child. And with that comes more and more vivid memory. So with work that we do is always taking what's unconscious and making it conscious, and then bringing that into the relationship between us.
My second, how do I say, interest and fascination about this approach is how the body is included in all this circle, let's say, relationship. And that is again,
Well, that's influenced, first of all, by my early training as an osteopath. But also from people like Ida Rolf. Fritz Perls would often comment on the body. He didn't do any actual body therapy and hands-on. In my early years, I spent a lot of time studying Wilhelm Reich's writings and doing a lot of experimentation. But I didn't touch clients at all until well into my career. When I was doing a marathon with a colleague, Jackie Schiff, who said, she's really depressed. Do some body work with her. And I said, oh, I don't touch my female clients. And she said, that's not a woman. That's a little girl. Go touch her. And I started doing some massage work on her, and she went right into a regression that was healing, and she came out of it. So I can't imagine doing a serious psychotherapy without at least body awareness. Now, many clients I never touch, but at least working with the body.
I think it is very...
But the same thing with behavior. We always, I think, in the end, wind up to be behaviorists. You know, how are we going to affect something different?
Yeah, at the end, this change.
But I don't think we can work without the affective and without our empathy.
Yeah. Yes.
And our clients always want to understand why.
Yes.
So I'm always working around this diamond and asking, where are they open to contact? Where are they close to contact?
You mentioned very old doors.
Yeah. Doors is a nice term that a colleague of mine, Paul Ware, used.
Yeah, and I have only one question more on the, that is something that is being, of course, introduced in what you have said. What is, in fact, the philosophical principles introduced in integrative psychotherapy, or foundations, if it is possible, I'm sure.
Just some briefly. Not working from a pathological perspective, that there is no such thing as psychopathology. What we have are relational disruptions and the client's creative accommodation for those relational disruptions. A sense of respect and constant value of the other person. And I always take the assumption that I don't really understand what's going on with the other person. So I have to inquire and inquire and inquire. I think if we just stuck with those two now, on the YouTube, I have a about a 45-minute lecture on eight philosophical principles, and they are in the introduction of the book you mentioned, Relational Patterns, Therapeutic Presence.
I think it is important because of that I asked that now. Thank you very much. For now, if you have something to add that I didn't ask and you think it is important.
Only the fact that I would love to have asked you all of these same questions and find out your answers so we can have a real dialogue. But thank you for inviting me.
Thank you very much.
Okay.